What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Jon Jones hinting at retirement after Stipe fight. UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones seems to be leaning towards retirement after facing off against former champion Stipe Miocic later this year. The news comes as somewhat of a surprise, given that Jones stated in the Twitter Spaces chat back in February that he was hoping to complete the remaining 8 fights on his contract. At the time, Jones admitted that 8 fights at 35 years of age was a considerable amount. However, after renegotiating the percentages tied to his contract and setting his sights on a new division, he seemed to be more enthusiastic. Now, however, on the heels of UFC President Dana White stating that Jones up and disappeared after his big UFC 285 win over Ciryl Gane, the heavyweight champion has brought up the topic of retirement on Twitter. How cool would it be to spend my retirement fight dominating the greatest heavyweight of all time in my home state at Madison Square Garden? This news certainly didn't sit too well with fans, who were quick to plead with the champ to fight more than just once more. Jones even responded to one fan saying that he would continue fighting. According to Dana White, the pair will in fact fight next. However, with International Fight Week now out of the equation, fans have been left to wonder just when the fight could take place. As Jones revealed prior to UFC 285, if he didn't take any damage, he planned to make a pretty quick turnaround in hopes of fighting 2 or 3 times this year.
I got my sights on Stipe Miocic. I think it just means the most. It means the most. There's some really exciting fights out there. There's guys that are more intimidating than Stipe. But for my personal legacy, to be able to defeat the greatest heavyweight of all time, it just means the most to me. So, and as far as how soon, I mean, hopefully I get out of this fight with no serious injuries or anything like that. I'd like to get out there as soon as possible. My goal is anywhere from 2 to 3 fights, depending on how the fights look.
With plenty of questions regarding Jones' future and not many answers, we turn to you. When do you think Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic will compete against one another? And when they do, will it be the last time we ever see Jon Jones compete inside the octagon? Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comment section below. What's next for Max Holloway after UFC Kansas City win? In the main event of UFC Fight Night Kansas City, former featherweight kingpin Max Holloway and streaking contender Arnold Allen squared off in a highly anticipated 5-round clash. After picking up a decision win, Holloway now finds himself in difficult position. Despite 3 losses to sitting champion Alexander Volkanovski, Holloway has not lost faith in his ability to earn another title shot. As he recently stated following Israel Adesanya's stunning knockout win over longtime rival Alex Pereira, the last Stylebenders win in their 4th clash gave him plenty of motivation as he seeks out a 4th meeting with Volkanovski. After the fight, Holloway spoke to media members, revealing that he was well aware of the fact that many were counting him out ahead of the fight. In fact, the odds were incredibly close beforehand, with predictions flying that Allen could be the first one to crack Holloway's chin. As he revealed post-fight, he has his sights set on none other than the Korean Zombie, given that the two have yet to fight one another.
That is the only guy in my time with the older guys that didn't get to fight. I would love that fight. There's a fight in my agent's freaking country, Australia, coming up. And when is it? Australia's supposed to be happening sometime. Australia's supposed to be happening sometime. We don't know when. And if Korean Zombie wants it, he can get it. He can get it.
So you want to fight him in
I would love to fight. That's one of the guys I've been growing up and watching. I'm kind of tripping out how we didn't fight yet.
On the flip side, fans praised Arnold Allen for his ability to hang in there with Holloway. Despite that, UFC President Dana White questioned why he didn't have the same sense of urgency throughout the entire fight as he showed in the 5th round. After the dust had settled, Allen released a statement on social media, thanking his fans for their support while concluding that he simply wasn't good enough on Saturday night. Dana White reacts to Nate Diaz vs. Jake Paul announcement. Heading into the final fight on Nate Diaz's UFC contract at UFC 279, there was a lot of speculation as to what the future could hold for the Stockton superstar. Back in June of last summer, UFC President Dana White claimed that Diaz should look to pursue a boxing match against Jake Paul. However, just 2 months later, White claimed that Diaz vowed not to take the quote-unquote goofy fight. Fast forward to Diaz's post-fight Octagon interview at UFC 279 following a submission win over Tony Ferguson, and the fan-favorite fighter revealed that he was looking to show the rest of the MMA community how to successfully cross over into other combat sports. After a period of uncertainty regarding what the future would hold for Diaz, it was recently confirmed that the Stockton superstar would be competing against Jake Paul in a boxing match. After Saturday's UFC Fight Night Kansas City card, White weighed in on the bout, saying,
"I don't want to shit on other people's fights, like Oscar De La Huerta.
But yeah, no, I don't want to talk about the fight. It's just there's no. First of all, neither guy is my guy. There's just no need for me to comment on it or whatever. I wish him the best. I hope to make $1 million.
According to a statement released by Team Diaz, after the boxing match, the plan is for him to return to the UFC once again in pursuit of a world championship. Updates to upcoming UFC fights. This week, the upcoming UFC 288 pay-per-view card took several hits, the most notable of which was the loss of the co-main event bout between former champion Charles Oliveira and streaking contender Beneil Dariush. After it was revealed that Oliveira had withdrawn from the May 6th bout with an undisclosed injury, UFC President Dana White revealed that the bout had been rescheduled for UFC 289, giving the promotion's return to Canada a big co-main event bout. In addition, UFC 288 also saw Jonathan Pierce withdraw from his scheduled fight against Bryce Mitchell. Fortunately, despite the fact that the pay-per-view card is right around the corner, the UFC was able to find a short-notice replacement in undefeated contender Movsar Evloev, who recently defeated Dan Ige last summer to bring his promotional record with the UFC 6-0. Last but certainly not least, news surfaced that the scheduled June 17th clash between Ilia Topuria and Josh Emmett had been moved to June 24th at UFC Jacksonville, where the bout will serve as the headliner. For Topuria, he will be looking to keep the momentum rolling after rattling off 5 straight wins in the octagon since 2020 to give him an undefeated record of 13-0. On the flip side, Josh Emmett will be looking to bounce back from an interim title loss to Yair Rodriguez. Dana White annoyed with fake retirements at UFC Kansas City. UFC Fight Night Kansas City saw 2 veterans of the fight game, Ed Herman and Zach Cummings, both retire following their preliminary card showdown. Several fights later, Bill Algeo, who defeated TJ Brown via second-round submission, took his gloves off inside the octagon, leading many to think that he was retiring. When he got the mic during his post-fight octagon interview, he joked that he would never retire in a place like Kansas City. The very next fight, veteran Clay Guida took his gloves off after his unanimous decision loss to Rafa Garcia. Given that the Carpenter is 41 years old, the general consensus was that he was retiring. Although fighters who suffer defeat rarely get octagon interviews, Daniel Cormier spoke to Guida to give him a chance to address the crowd. As Guida quickly revealed, he had no plans of retiring and had taken his gloves off to trick everyone in order to get the opportunity to congratulate his opponent and wish his mom a happy birthday on the microphone.
I tricked you guys. There ain't no way I'm walking away yet. I want to congratulate this young man, Rafa Garcia, and I want to ask Rafa Garcia to trade gloves with me, man, because that was a heck of a performance by him, man.
That didn't sit too well with UFC President Dana White, who was quick to respond during the post-fight press conference.
That pissed me off, actually, to be honest with you. Yeah, no, that pissed me off. You know, I like him. He's a nice guy, but you're faking your retirement so you can say happy birthday to somebody? Yeah, we're running a live event here. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, no, I was not happy about that.
What did you make of Guida's post-fight move to get interview time? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And now for our breaking news story of the day. We have Islam Makhachev announcing his next UFC fight. It's reported that Islam Makhachev will take on Dustin Poirier on the October UFC card. During an interview with Submission Radio, Beneil Dariush revealed that Dana White told him Dustin Poirier is the #1 contender for the title after he suggested to fight for the belt following Charles Oliveira pulling out of the fight. Here's the clip.
You know, why fight Charles? Why not fight straight away for the title?
Yes, went kind of like this. I was like, okay, this guy's out, and they mentioned, you know, pushing the fight back to the 10th, and I'm like, man, what if he doesn't show up again, right? Mm-hmm. And I basically said, why don't I just fight Makhachev in, let's say, July or August? Or even earlier if he's available, right? And they said, no, he has to be on the October card, which was like, okay, fine. And I brought that up. You know, I kind of kept digging on that as why I'm basically not the #1 contender. And they pretty much said Dustin Poirier is the #1 contender. He's ranked ahead of you. I was considering flipping the table and just walking out at that moment. So that's when I got heated, when they said this guy is the #1 contender.
If the report is true, Dustin Poirier will get his title shot against Islam Makhachev in October of this year. What do you think of this move from the UFC? Will Dustin Poirier be able to dethrone Islam Makhachev and get his revenge on Khabib? Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay up to date with MMA news every day. Here are the top comments from yesterday's video. Ngannou leaving UFC will turn out to be the moment he realized that he effed up. Guy was way too greedy. I guess we have Fury to thank for that, eh? Alex is up for a rude awakening at 205. Here are some replies to that comment. Not really. The 205 division is pretty weak right now with Jamal being a glorified journeyman and there not being much competition. Depends who they give him. Stand-up fighters, 50-50 bangers. If the opponent is wrestling heavy, you know what happens. And those were the top comments from yesterday's video. If you want to be featured on our next video, make sure to leave a comment and don't forget to check out yesterday's video in case you missed it.